All right, here we go.
Yeah. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
How are you guys doing today?
Fine.
Lot of work in the farm.
No, it's everyone has their own farm or their day jobs. It's a different setup here.
Okay.
When I come
So,
home, I can explain how we've kind of structured it down here. A little different.
okay. Okay. So, so you guys remember the things that I explained about the insect anatomy and some about chemistry?
Yes, we remember.
Yes, yeah, they remember.
Only two slides I need to explain for yesterday's presentation. Those slides are interlinked with this today's presentation. So if you know about these things, so that is very much easier to understand about how we can treat some different pests with these botanical pesticides. But it is plant extracts and these chemicals are mostly useful uses in organic industry. Okay. So in this case, you might have you can see this presentation over there. Like first is the neem oil. The neem oil, it is, do you guys have a neem trees in your area?
Oh yes, a ton of them. They're a annoying tree.
Neem is the best and my favorite neem stick because that stick is having a lot of Ayurvedic medicines kind of properties. So I lived with the tree, so that is the best tree. And yeah, we can people extract oil from the tree, like they collect seeds and they extract neem oil. So with that they make pesticides and they use it is a medicinal plant, we can say. We use neem oil uses everywhere. So neem oil, it works most of the pesticide, most of the pests, sucking pest. Mostly I'm telling you. So this and I let you know, like on the pest. When I'm gonna teach, when I'm gonna discuss about any pest, I'll mention about this neem oil. So so in this and another pyrethrum. Pyrethrum is chrysanthemum. They collect from chrysanthemum. So it works on nervous nerve toxin. So some pest is have everybody is having nervous system in their body. So when it affects on the nervous system, so the pest will get paralysis. With the paralysis, they cannot move, but still they can eat the mouth parts. So when the effect on the brain, so it will die eventually. So that is one more chemistry. And capsaicin, it is a hot pepper oil. It is a chili hot pepper, you might have know. So they extract oil from the chili oil, hot peppers. Then they spray it. Like when it is a hot pepper, it burn their eyes. And the chemical composition of capsaicin uh, can be used to repel insect. The capsaicin. And another thing is citrus oil. Citrus oil contains the compound uh, lanol, and both which act as a nervous toxin, as the same like which you have seen over here. Pyrethrum and citrus oil both can act as a nerve toxins. Okay, and one more thing is garlic. The garlic with the even garlic juice can be very effective on controlling some pests. The garlic is an active ingredient on spray made with garlic include the chemicals that is these two kind of chemicals there in a garlic juice. So with these chemicals also can control some of the second pest. Okay, now I'm going to move on.
Another question.
Maybe we have a question here.
Yes.
When you use, let's say, neem oil, and you use it regularly, don't the pests get accustomed to the neem oil? Because I heard that you should spray like say 3 different pesticides, organic pesticides, to effectively control a pest, so the pests don't get used to the toxin
Do the pests build up a resistance to neem oil
or any other if you use them.
or any of these?
Yeah, the major thing about organic pesticides, our organic these oils is having a different volatile compounds. The structure of this chemistry is having a lot of volatile compounds in this neem oil and horseradish oil. The pest cannot get resistance with this kind of pesticides. For example, if you take a monocrotophos, you guys might have heard about monocrotophos, chloropyrifos, these synthetic pyrethroids. These pyrethroids is having a compound which pest can build up their resistance, but organic pesticides, most of the organic pesticides having a very clustered volatile compounds, so that I mean, for example, a solution made with different bonds, like um, let me explain you in this. So can you guys?
Uh,
Um,
yeah, we can see a white paper. We don't see anything written on it yet.
yeah. Now, so normal pesticides is having a bond like this, one or two chemistry bonds. Okay, so uh, for example, different chemistries like organic pesticides in horseradish oil and neem oil, this kind of oil is having a clustered, like this is a normal pesticide, imagine, and this is like different kind of, like very clustered bond, and the pest will, this is organic pesticide chemistry, this is, and this is normal chemistry. It's not, it may not be, definitely it's not perfect, but because I'm not a, chemistry student, but I'm just explaining you why they will not get resistance for organic chemistry, because this having a clustered very uh, a, a pest cannot understand, their body cannot understand about this chemistry, so they cannot build up resistant with these kind of chemistries.
Yeah, so it's too complex for them to adapt to.
Yes, yeah.
And it changes all the time. Like I think the bonds are different because if you have like neem oil, it's not the same bond as the other oil. So if you change it,
Well, yeah, but he's saying that even within neem oil, if you keep spraying with neem oil, the individual molecules are what
difficult.
it's so complex versus the synthetic, which is just a single like.
Okay.
So you wouldn't. I mean, it's something I've wondered about too, but this is a good explanation. So
Okay.
thanks, Emma. That's great.
Yeah. So this is the. You guys have any questions on this?
Anyone else?
Okay. One more question.
Got another one?
Which one of the oils can, let's say, work for the same pest, or which ones are to be used for fighting the same pest if you don't want
What's the most broad spectrum of these to apply? I mean, is there a single one that would cover all the pests, or do you need to tailor these to depending on the pest?
Yeah. For example, garlic juice. This garlic juice cannot control aphids, but neem oil can control aphids. You understand? So aphid need with the suffocation. Like for example, horseradish oil, it makes suffocation. I did not mention horseradish oil over here, but this garlic juice cannot have a suffocation character, so that not control with this, but neem oil can do that. The uh, and it's soapy. Even if you mix with soap, every pest is having different characters and different strong strength, capacity to stay on the plant. So like different oil, different they give a different they play a different role on the pest. So that's why we cannot use only one in a different pest, like for all pests. But neem oil is a kind of widely adopted oil. You can any pest, if you see, like people go for neem oil, that is one of the best option, I can say, for most of the pests. But not all pests cannot control with only one product. We have to go different products. Is that the right answer?
Yeah, I think so. And I think a little further to your point, we're going to talk about 5 different pests that are common to the island here soon, and
Which one?
yeah,
Next
way
slide.
to control it. Yeah.
Okay, can I move to the next slide? Because we have a lot of slides today, because I have to cover 5 presentations.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So, and these are contact barriers. These are botanicals, like they extract from some trees, and these are oils, just oil, dormant oils and soaps. Diatomaceous earth. You guys might have heard this product anywhere. This is you can control most of the home insects, storage insects. If you guys eat rice, there is a lot of small worms might have seen in the rice or wheat, barrels like that. So people use diatomaceous earth, this product. And the dormant oils, they usually applied in winter. It works as an insecticide by suffocating insect that they are trying to overwinter on plant, and soap insecticidal. This is insecticidal soap. I'm sorry, I just made a mistake. It is insecticidal soap. And this is another one. It's a normal soap, works to control insect by removing their waxy cuticle, causing them to desiccate and die. For example, this soap, whitefly, I will explain in the next slide. The whitefly is having a wax coating on their body. If you use this soap, the wax coating gonna go off. So they eventually, they just go off from that area to just move to another places like that, and they will die. Okay, and this diatomaceous earth, this is made up of fossilized skeleton of microscopic organisms called diatoms. So this is, you may not get this product surrounded by you. We have to buy from different company. It's kind of powder form. We already used this diatomaceous earth in squash vine borer, Chris. Yeah. So we can use as a, different kind of pest in this one. And kaolin is it's a clay. It composed primarily of silicon and aluminum. It works creating physical barrier around the plant. When you spray this product it will give a barrier to plant to insect. It will spread on the plant, and the plant, even insect come and sat on the plant, it cannot damage the plant. That is kind of property that we have it. But this is will not be having a long lasting, like, when the plant grow, you'll get they have a chance to get it attack again. When rain comes, it will just go off like that. Okay, so these are the another barriers that we can use on organic agriculture.
Another question here, Heyman.
Would the
Yes.
barrier stop the stoma from exhaling and breathing?
Would the clay affect the stoma on the plants in a negative way?
No, I mean, any pest is having only critical period for 3 days, 4 days, like that. Okay, so it won't be like, after 3 days we have to apply. For example, whitefly is having 10 days worst situation, like, it's a severe problem. You can see a lot of whiteflies is coming during that period, like, having a lot of problem. When you spray on that, it will just go off, and the stomas and the photosynthesis will definitely happen on this kind of product. You're not covering this product entire the plant, like, it won't turn into the black, but it's just giving a physical barrier to the insect. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, so it's not making a airtight barrier. It's just there's probably, if you look at it on a microscopic level, there's spots of it all over.
Yeah.
Better way to think of it. Yeah, that's good.
So for this yesterday presentation, the summary is control pest population through culture practices and enhance pest predator balance. Like I have explained about different predators, where they live and which crops they live. So we have to maintain diversity, crop diversity, and crop rotation is very important. And biodegradable pesticides that have a low toxicity that I have explained right now, those are beneficial. Those are to beneficial insects, to fish, birds, and mammals. So use this kind of pesticides that is really good for environment. Okay, and I'm gonna really quickly move to this today's presentation about the different pests. You guys can see my presentation right now. Oh, it is in this is the same presentation. Wait.
There you go. Yes, we can see it.
Okay, now I'm going to explain 5 different pests, and in this today's session, I will explain about what are their characters and what are the life cycle, and what are the control measurements. Okay, so if you can, I'll try to explain all those things. Okay.
Sorry,
So
you cut out for a moment. What did you say?
no, I'm just saying, you guys, if you have any doubts while I'm doing presentation, you please ask, and I'll try to explain those questions.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So could you play the aphid video?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you, the reason why I'm playing video first, when I explain the presentation, you can get the picture of how the pest is moving like that. Okay.
Thanks, Pete.
Aphids inflict serious damage to a variety of crops. They are notorious virus vectors and have an enormous reproductive capacity. There are lots of different colored species, and they occur in all kinds of crops. Nymphs and adults extract food materials from the plant and disturb the balance of the plant's growth hormones. It can result in deformed leaves or even the death of young plants. Aphids secrete honeydew, which is a nutrient source for sooty molds. Their saliva can also induce strong allergic reactions, such as malformations of the growing tips. The aphid in this video is the most important vector of viruses and is thus feared by many growers. When reproduction is asexual, the young aphids are born as developed nymphs. They immediately start to feed on plant sap and grow rapidly. Aphids molt 4 times before reaching adulthood. With each molt, they shed white skin, betraying their presence in the crop. Adult aphids can have different appearances. They can vary in color and can be winged or wingless. The most effective method to control aphids depends on species, crop, and climate. Check out our YouTube channel and website for more information on agricultural pests.
All right, Heyman.
So you guys saw the video of aphids, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's in this situation, like you might have seen how aphid give birth to give next generation, and then how they what they do, they extract honeydew. So with the dew, also it is. When you find any ants on the plant, that means that is the aphid problem. You see, and I'll explain all those things in next few slides. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So these aphids are, it's whatever you are seeing. Like aphid is not only 1 or 2 species. We have in our universe. I mean, in our world, we have 4,000, more than 4,000 species of aphids. All aphids are not the same. Some aphids will control with some chemicals, some may not. For example, for apple, we have a woolly aphids kind of thing. So some chemistries work on some aphids, but not on some other aphids. But still, we have to try different kind of oils or different kind of chemistry if you did not understand what type of aphid is that. Okay, so in this, only 250 are most serious aphids that we have right now. So in this one aphid range, this is the range of aphid and appearance. The 25% of all plant species are infected with this aphids, and though it is it is believed the species of aphids has followed the plants. Not all group of plants are equally infected with these parasites. Only 25% of all plant species are infected with this kind of with the aphid. Okay, it is just a knowledge about how many 25% of the crop plant crop, I mean 25% of the plant population in the world. If we have 100 plants, 25 plants are affected by aphids. That's what it means. Okay, and aphids are like it is 1 to 10 small, soft body insect. And definitely mostly these aphids are not having wings. They don't have wings. Okay, so it is different kind of anatomy of aphid. Aphid, it is you see the you guys might see this is a cuda and antenna. This antenna I explained about yesterday. Like they just go and search for the food material and just identify the directions. But the cuda, what they do, they extract honey from the cuda. Okay, so this is the aphid anatomy, and I'll go to the next slide. What are the characters of aphids? Aphids, as I told you, aphids is having a soft body and it's a weak, mostly 1 to 10 long, and most of aphids is having a 3 and it is head is pointed downward for feeding. It suck the aphid. What they do, they suck the sap with the sting with their mouth parts. That's how aphid damages to the plants. And they walk with skinny legs. The legs are not the legs are so weak. So in this situation, you guys need to understand about they have legs with skinny. It means even if you pour pressurized water, like when you spray water, it just fell down. So aphids are very soft bodied. It's very easy to control. So we don't need to struggle much more to control this thing. If we see below ETL level, like 150 aphid per plant, that is enough. Like oh, you have to control these aphids like that. And that situation, even if you spray water on it, like it will just go off. And soap water also works really good. So that's why I'm explaining about the characters. Why aphid? How can we control with different kind of chemicals? Because if they have a skinny legs, we can control very easily. Understand?
Yes.
Yeah. And these characters, as I told you, thorax, abdomen is fused. It means it is like it is congested. It's you cannot see the segmented body. It is kind of a small bulb. It's oval shape kind of insect. So it's not. And most aphids have a cuda. This is cuda, which is secreting, which is releasing honey. You see that? This part is a honey. So most aphids have tail pipes. These are tail pipes. Okay, so excrete the alarm pheromones. This, if I'm wrong, please explain to them, Chris. So this thing, if something comes to danger of the insect, so they act. For Scorpio is having a tail as a this thing like to bite or to protect themselves. And this one is having it's a it can indicate to the it will indicate to the aphid, I mean to the insect, oh, something is going wrong. So that's how they behave on the plant. Okay, so the aphid life cycle, it's a little bit complex. It is not as easier to understand about aphid life cycle, because aphid, they can directly okay, let me explain. Aphid can become, they just by himself they can reproduce. They just deliver babies by themselves. They don't need any extra support for the male sometimes, most of the times. So this is A, and this is B. And yeah, it means they just multiply by themselves. They just deliver baby like that. And and C is they lay eggs without any interaction with male. So they lay eggs. Oh, here, this is male part, you see. So, and they go for um, nymph stage, and they will become as an adult again. So again, over here, you can see this aphid, they can cross with the female. This is male and this is female. They cross these two things and they will give eggs, and they will go to the adult stage after crossing this nymph stage. You guys understand what I said?
Yeah. Yes.
So the simple thing is the aphid, they just give babies by themselves, and again, they can also can have a mate. They can also mate with female with male, and they lay egg, and they can go by like that. I mean, so they have a good metamorphosis, the good life cycle. So that's why they multiply very quickly. They give a huge number of baby insects within a few days.
Got a question, Heyman?
What you were saying just now, they can make baby by themselves, and they can also make babies with
Yeah.
a male.
Yes. That makes them. That's why they spread so fast. They can multiply in a number of ways. But the good news is that they're easy to control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as I told you, they just deliver baby like this, in this picture. So they born alive. It's not like egg and larva different. It's not like that. They just born like a babies, like we give a birth. And they also, some aphids, they lay eggs and they do like that. So these kind of aphids is having a different kind of character. So that's the main reason they multiply very fast. And the development of aphids on the base of temperature. If the temperature is not up to their body level, so they won't grow very fast. And female, as I told you, female can start reproduction very quickly. They're just like ready to go. If you see baby aphid today, tomorrow morning they can able to deliver another baby. That's fast. They multiply in the number. Okay. And the feeding from the folium of the plant, which they tap into the style of their probiosis. And I don't think so. I don't need to read all those things. They eat most part of the plant. They eat stems, leaves, and roots, and so they eat most of the plant. They when they spread the population entire on the leaf, they extract honey from their body. They cover all the layer, and it is also kind of difficult to do photosynthesis for the plant. So so that's why we have to control. When we see the aphid, we need to take a quick action. So, and this aphid eat any like all these kind of things: plant, stem, leaf, and roots in the crop. And the movement of the aphid, most aphids do not have wings, as I told you. They just walk. on the plant, and they move very little, and they live consist of the feeding and giving birth. They just eat and give birth to the babies. That's there's nothing other job they want to do. They just eat and like deliver babies. So that's why we get a lot of aphids. And aphids, they move about 1.6 to 3.2 kilometer per hour. It's yeah. So the immigration cannot be extensive. As I told you, it won't go, it won't move. And predators, aphids predator are very common. A lot of insects try to eat aphids. So these are the predators. I explained most of these insect yesterday. You've seen ladybug. Ladybug is also eat aphid, and ladybug larva also eat aphid. And lacewings, the big wings kind of insect I have shown you the green insect. So this is that one also can eat. And wasp. These wasp, what they do, they inject their eggs into the baby, into the aphid
And hijack them.
body. This insect will come out. You see this insect, they lay eggs into their body, the egg develop in the aphid body, and then this insect may not, we don't have any problem with this insect. They won't damage much, they won't damage anything to the crop. So these kind of insects also sell from different company, like the Copert video that you have seen. Those sell these kind of insects. Okay. And some fungus also, they live on the aphid. So these fungus also can control the aphid. The cultural control is before planting vegetables, check the surrounding areas and for the source of aphids and remove those sources. Just need to, if you see any crops, if it is not you're not getting any fruits from that, if the crop is having aphid problem, don't try to keep those crops surrounded by new crops. Even if you don't get any end results, it will affect to the new crop also. For example, it is just economic calculation. One bed is affected by huge aphids, and you 10 fruits for the entire bed. You don't need to wait more to get 1 or 3 fruits. The next bed, you may not, if you transplant any other like beetroots, okra recently, what they will eventually, when they grow up, this first bed, if they just move to this bed. So instead of going that, just calculate by yourself how much I'm getting. Okay, just harvest this bed and grow new, like, new bed like that. You understand?
Question, Hemu?
Yes.
You didn't mention ants. Those ants eat the
No. So ants. The question is, what about ants? You mentioned a little bit of an ant problem, but you haven't talked about them. So I can speak about it if you'd like.
Okay. You can explain.
Yeah. So ants, they eat the honeydew that comes from the aphids. The aphids poop basically sugar water, and ants like sugar water as food. So ants will actually find aphid colonies and
Protect them.
they farm them, and they actually protect them. So if you have ants with aphids, then biological controls like other insects that would eat the aphids might not work, because the ants will come along and fight off the predators. So I've literally watched a ladybug walk toward aphids and several ants come over and bully it away before it could eat any of them. So if you have ants as an issue, if you have aphids and ants, then to control the aphids with a biological control, you need to control your ants first. So Julian's trying it out. I mentioned a way to control ants using borax and sugar water. It's something we can talk about more, but that's a way that you can start controlling the ants, and then the biological controls can move in and do the work for you after that. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does cinnamon also control the ants, keep them away? Because cinnamon also has certain ants.
I have never heard of cinnamon as an ant control. I don't know. Do you know of any other natural ways to control ants?
Ants?
Yeah,
Just water.
water.
I can do, oh yeah, like there are some machines. We have it, so we just need to do pressure water to the plant. Even for aphids also, we can do pressure water.
So I came across a way to control ants. It's a poison essentially, but it's an organic one. You combine boric acid with sugar water and put that near the ants, and the ants will eat that solution and then take it back to their colony. Excuse me. Take it back to their colony, and if they happen to share it with the queen, it can kill the queen. Basically, the ant that eats it desiccates. It dries out because they ate an acid. So it slowly dries them down, and if they share it with the queen, then you kill the colony. So. Is there another question?
No, because I have experienced some ants, and the ants, at a certain point, I put a bucket in a big drum with water, and the ants were just swimming in the water, coming out of the water like nothing. They were like good swimmers.
The insects that small, they don't break water tension. So they're small enough that the tension of the water holds their bodies up. Even if an insect is submerged in water, the size that they are, like the water doesn't contact them in the same way as water contacts us.
The density is different.
It's. I learned a little bit about this, and Heimu, if you can comment on this, it'd be great. But insects don't get wet the same way that we do. So,
But because it was telling about the water, using water as
it's
a way.
the force of the water. It's not the water itself touching them; it's the force of it knocking them off of the plant. And since their bodies are so weak and soft, when the force hits it, it can burst them, it can break them. One of the slides even talks about how their proboscis is breakable. It can be bent or broken if it's pushed around the wrong way. So if you hit them, the point he keeps making is that it needs to be a strong stream of water, not just water, but a pressure, some sort of pressure. It's not going to hurt your plant, but will push the aphids off.
But the ants, then how do you say it's going to fight the ants also with water?
Well, the ants, you can blow them off with water, but they won't die. Not in the same way.
Because I have ants in my plants. I water them, but the ants.
So, Julian, I think you posted a video earlier. I still haven't been able to watch it, but it was on the borax and the sugar water. Yeah, and that's working so far? You've seen results from it? Okay. So, Julian posted this. Huh? Yeah. So, Julian posted this. Check it out in the group thread.
Yeah, I try to use borax water.
Cool. Any other questions on this? All right, Heimu, let's move on.
Yeah, so I think from next slides, I'll just go through some really quick because I need to cover uh, 4 more presentation after this.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna explain very close what we needed.
Okay, so maybe what we can do is just if you have a pressing question, write it down, and then if we have time at the end, we'll address it, just so we can get through everything this evening, okay? All right, go for it, Heyman.
Yeah. So and another thing is if we use more nitrogen, so for example, instead of organic material, some people they use fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, and they say organic farms. So in that situation, don't use more nitrogen. So more nitrogen, it is a favorable condition for aphids for reproduction, because the nitrogen give a good healthy crop. It just grow really quick, and they suck the sap and they get energy and they reproduce a lot. So that's why we have to reduce the nitrogen also to control second pest. And there are some vegetables are susceptible to aphid damage, so we can use those things. For example, for susceptible varieties, I'll explain. A hybrid is having some hairy structure. The leaves will have a hairy structure, a more hair, so the sucking pest, because they pierce the hairy nature of the leaf. They pierce into the uh, aphid body, so that's why they won't attack on the some kind of varieties of the plants, varieties of the crop. So that's why they develop hairy nature in the hybrids. They develop hybrids like who's having a hairy structure leaf, so that we can control aphid. And but yeah, as I told you, strong spray of water also we can control aphid. And neem oil, insecticidal soap, and horticulture oils are effective against aphids. Just remember, whether it is your organic farm, if you are using these neem oils, insecticidal soap, and horticulture oils, just make sure that that is listed with OMRI or EPS registered pesticides. Otherwise, they mix some different synthetic pesticides into the crop, into the solution. So you won't get much control for that. Okay. And the other thing about aphid, you can also get rid of aphids by wrapping spare of the leaf. Okay, dishwash soap, and if you can mix with a soap with water and spray it, the aphid will control by that. And insecticidal soap, 1 tablespoon of dishwashing soap liquid per gallon of water give really good control of aphids. And so this one, how they do, they remove the waxy coating, which causes them to die, and desiccation. The flavor of leafy greens can damage the leaf when applied the bright sun. So in this situation, when you want to use this dishwashing liquid uh, and insecticidal soap together, don't try to spray this solution on leafy vegetables like chard, kale, on like that. Don't use this method. Try to use in fruit crops. Okay, fruit crops. So you will get good results. Otherwise, the leafy vegetables, the flavor of the vegetables will go bad. So it won't be that much good to eat. The fruit, it doesn't matter. You don't need to worry about. You just spray it. The horticulture oil, as I said, you can use it It is spot treatments with horticulture oil, smoother aphids. And this is the end of the presentation for aphids. You guys have any doubts in it?
Any questions on this, Marco? Horticultural oil? That's some of the oils like the garlic oil or the, let's see. Yeah, the horticultural oils, would that refer to that other slide listing some of the botanicals?
So this,
There we go. Yeah, so some of these oils here. Garlic, citrus, capsaicin. So these are going to be in the slides online. So since you came late, you just check the slides. There'll be plenty to tell you in there.
okay. Can I move to the next presentation?
We need to take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll take let's try to keep it to a 5-minute break as quick as we can, guys. We got a lot more to go through. So. All right, Amy, we're recording, so go ahead.
Yeah. So now this is another insect. It is a leaf miner. So as the reason why I explained about a life cycle of the insect, because I told you about this two different kind of metamorphosis, complete and incomplete metamorphosis. The aphid is a complete metamorphosis that I explained yesterday, which they don't have a pupa, but leaf miner is having pupa and larva stage. So aphid is aphid ate adult aphid destroy the plant, and this leaf miner, the adult aphid, adult leaf miner won't destroy, but these larval stage mostly affect the plants. So that's why we have to learn about metamorphosis, which pest is having, in which stage pest damages our plant. Okay. So Chris, could you play the video?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
There are many leaf miner species affecting various crops. Problems with leaf miner have increased as a result of the use of pesticides. Natural enemies are killed, allowing leaf miner populations to erupt into serious numbers. Adult leaf miners are yellow and black colored flies, at most only several millimeters long. The adult female lays eggs by making holes in the leaf, known as egg spots, by using her toothed ovipositor. Often, no eggs are laid in these holes, but the plant exuding sap is consumed. These holes are known as feeding spots. Leaf miners also feed on nectar from flowers and honeydew. When the larva hatches from the egg, it right away starts to eat its way into the leaf. They tunnel down into the mesophyll tissue where damage is caused by extensive mines. The outer layers of the leaf and stalk stay intact. These mines lead to cosmetic damage, leaves drying out, or even early defoliation. This can affect the yield. Indirect damage occurs when fungi or bacteria enter the feeding areas. Before pupating, the grown larva cuts a sickle-shaped exit hole in the leaf with its mouthparts. The larva crawls out of the leaf, falls onto the ground, and will pupate in the soil. An adult leaf miner will emerge from the pupa. Within 13 days, the female can lay up to 160 eggs. Check out our YouTube channel and website for more information on agricultural pests.
Okay.
Okay. So you have seen the stages, different stages of. Are you guys hearing my voice?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So you guys saw the complete life cycle of leaf miner, and on which stage it is infecting to the plant? On which stage it is damaging to the plant? Could anyone tell me?
Yeah, the larval stage.
Yes, very good. So our target is to control larva, and sometimes we have to control adults also, which cannot give birth to the next generation, so that we can control it. So, okay, let's move on to this leaf miner. I'm not going to stay more in this introduction and like that, but I'll just go through really quick, because you don't need to worry about, like, where they came from, like that. So a leaf miner larva is the most dangerous. Okay, so and so let's move to the next slide. I know I don't want to explain on this situation. Okay, this is important one. So the adult leaf miner typically looks like a small black yellow flies, and the insect more a salivary gray color. So when you see adult, just try to control with contact insecticide like neem oil. When you control adult, it won't lay eggs on the leaf pores. They lay eggs underneath a small layer. They just damage the layer and they lay eggs underneath the layer, so that the egg hatches and they just start the larval stage underneath the leaf. So it will completely destroy the leaf area, surface area, so that plant will die eventually. So we have to control even some for mother insects also, adults also. So the larva looks like very small, yellowish colored, and underside of the leaf. And as I explained, you have seen in the video, the white patches on the leaves, that is also one of the identification to know. You see, when any leaf is having a snake patch, like when snake moves, how it just go in a different directions. You lost the chlorophyll on the leaf, so that means the plant affected by leaf miner. Okay, and this larva takes place after 2 days. Okay, and then it feeds between the leaf surface and creating thick meandering thick or mine. So it just uh, the larva stays underneath the leaf, so that is the main identification you have to concentrate on this slide. Okay, so this is the life cycle of the insect, and as I explained, the snakes kind of the snake patches kind of this whitish marks on the leaves. If you see that, that is a leaf miner infestation. The larva is very, very, very little, very tiny, and this is uh, after the adult, what they do, they lay eggs underneath and they hatches and they start eating from here to here, like they just destroy the leaf like that. And then after uh, they become maggot,
You got a question, Hemu?
Yes.
Like that infected leaf that with that white spot on
You
it.
go back a slide.
Yeah.
That's eczonamide. Can you cut the leaves off? Then you destroy us.
Okay, let me explain you. If you see this line, it means these adult laid eggs on different all the leaves. If you cut the if you cut this leaf, it doesn't affect on your crop. It's already spreaded. Mostly, you don't need to worry about. Just try to use spraying method in this situation, because when you see these white patches on the leaf, it means this adult might have laid eggs onto hundreds of leaves on your plot. So cutting one leaf, did you get my point?
Yes, yes. So let's say in one plant, okay, for example, I'm just saying that if it's only one leaf, I see with those spots on it. So that means the other leaves has it also, but it's not seen yet.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it might be, you might see this thing on one leaf, but by this time, this adult laid eggs as hundreds of leaves. Okay, you don't need to worry about cutting this leaf off. Okay.
Cool, great.
Okay. The symptoms, what will happen, the severity affected, the leaves may drop, and so I think you don't need to much. So the rash. So mostly you can find on the base of white spot. That is a major spot you can identify. Otherwise, when you see adult, you can just go through the go for controlling measurements. Okay. Okay, let's go to the life cycle. I already explained the life cycle. What they do, they just the leaf miner adult, they lay eggs underneath or here, underneath the layer of the leaf. They hatch and they become larvae and they just go like that, and they become a pupa and they become a white fly again like this. Okay, for early detection, use sticky traps, monitor adults, and check upper surface of the young leaves. And if you use sticky wraps, the yellow color wrap, yellow color trap, they come and fall into the net. So that is called pheromone traps or sticky traps. They have a wax layer on it, so the insects will come and stick to the stick to the trap. Okay, so those kind of mechanical control we can use those kind of control methods also. And the management is conserving their natural enemies, which they often kill. Broad spectrum insecticide applied the tomato pest, and reduce the risk of leaf miner outbreaks by applying insecticides for the fruits pest only when monitoring shows treatment is needed, and by choosing insecticide that will not destroy the leaf miner parties. Just biological management is also important. You can see the video. The same company that the videos that I have downloaded. The company is Copert. They give solution for the. Please play the video that I have sent right now on a different mail.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Yeah. Could you play the video? It is very short video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Diglyphus azea is an ectoparasite, which means that it lays eggs beside the host. It can parasitize many species of leaf miner. In order to produce eggs, it punctures mainly larvae to feed on their body fluids. Once parasitized by the wasp, the leaf miner stops feeding. Diglyphus lays its eggs alongside the paralyzed leaf miner larva. When the larva hatches, it punctures the leaf miner and sucks out its body fluids. As a result, the leaf miner larva dies. Diglyphus immediately starts to search for leaf miners to parasitize. Curious about other beneficials? Check out our YouTube channel for more videos.
Right? Okay.
Okay, so you understand the video. So they parasite the leaf miner so that they kill leaf miner in a right stage. So um, uh, we can get those kind of insect from cell insect parasites. So we can use in organic agriculture. Coming to the cultural control, check the transplants before planting. Destroy that are infected leaf miner. Damage earlier infestation begin to the seedlings. So someone asked one question about before leaf to just cut off that leaf, and if you see the infestation, this kind of method can be useful for before you're sowing a crop. So if you see any infestation on the field, just take the infected crop and just plant again. That can be useful. But when you see infected leaf, by removing that, that may not be that much useful. And where a serious tomato crops is planted in the same area, a series of tomato crops is planted in the same area, we can reduce early infestation in new crop by removing old planting immediately after the last harvest. So that is one more activity that we can go for it. Like susceptible varieties, you can get susceptible varieties. There are some Seminis company, they sell susceptible leaf miner vegetable seeds. We can buy from them, but they are also not that much effective. Now the leaf miner is getting resistant to that kind of hybrids also. um, we need to check before buying any seeds, even if they are claiming as my hybrid is susceptible for this like that. Okay, and don't plant any vegetable in area where you had a previous leaf miner infestation. Always remove any remaining old parts at the end of the growing season. Just if you find any remaining crop, if you planted one row of tomatoes and it's over, and that row is still there, and you started planting next to the bed like in a new tomato crop, if you see the old infestation is there still, so just try to clean the bed and take the infested area and burn it or throw it away, then start new planting. That's how we have to do that. And mechanical control, prune off and destroy affected leaves, uh, your infected vegetables, but that is not a good effective control, I can say that, because I just read about, I had some experience. Even if we do pruning, it's not going to be that much effective for the crop. Uh, protect small seedlings by covering them, protection cloth and cold wrap. I have shown you yesterday some white color net and protection cloth so that we can control with that. So these are the major things for the leaf miner, how we can control. Coming to the summary and conclusion of this problem, leaf miner is becoming major problem of vegetables in tomatoes growing area, especially. So the population should be remains under the threshold level of damage by applying cultural, biological, and physical methods also. So it is a kind of danger insect, I can say. We just need to try to control with these organic or biological methods. So this is leaf miner. You guys have any doubts on that?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. And coming to mites, this is very easy, and we can control very effective way this insect. First of all, Chris, could you play the video?
Yes.
Once sufficient food is consumed, they become inactive.
Mites is the third video.
Yep, I got it.
Spider mite infestations affect many crops throughout the world. With their great reproductive capacity, they can destroy plants rapidly. Adult spider mites can be red, orange, yellow, green, or brown in color. Both males and females usually have two large black spots. That is why they are called two-spotted spider mite. Spider mites cause damage to the host plant by feeding on plant tissue and plant sap. They mainly occur on the underside of leaves, where they suck out the contents of the cells. These dead cells become yellow. As damage increases, whole leaves turn yellow, and eventually the plant may die. Nymphs and adults also produce webs, and plants can be completely covered by them. They can reproduce sexually as well as asexually. Eggs are laid on the underside of the leaves. The larvae that emerge from the eggs are virtually colorless, with two dark red eyes. Once they start feeding, they become light green, brownish, yellow, or even dark green. The two dark spots also develop on the middle of the body. Once sufficient food is consumed, they become inactive and develop into proto-nymphs. Another feeding and resting period follows. That leads to a molt. The deutonymph emerges. After another molt, the adult mite appears. With each molt, spider mites shed their skin. The color of the adults often depends on the crop on which they occur. The intensive use of chemicals has led to many spider mite populations developing resistance to pesticides. Check out our YouTube channel and website for more information on agricultural pests.
Okay.
So you understand about the video, so that when I go through the next slides, you would understand much better about the life cycle, how they're looking and how they're trying the crop and like that. Okay, so these mites are very common pest in everywhere, and mostly they find in vegetables and ornamental plants and many fruit areas. It is also related to insects. Um, uh, Mites are not insects, but these mites are not it is comes to the arachnoid family. That means just forget about that families and everything. And so the spider mites, different types of spider mites, I'll show you in the next slides. Those are Pacific spider mites, two-spotter spider mites, and strawberry spider mites. So these are the different kinds of spider mites. So the spider mites is having a different color. When they grow, they change the color, and some specific colored mites are also there. We call that when we call yellow spider mites and red spider mites and two-spotted spider mites based on their shape and color. So this is the strawberry spider mite, and this is two-spotted spider mite. Spider mite means and the spider mite you will see the black spots on the two sides. So that's the main thing you can identify. And this is Pacific spider mite. It looks like the same two-spotter spider mite, but the spots we having a kind of less spots on the spider mites. Okay. So the spider mites looks tiny moving dots. The legs are it is like the legs are little bit longer, and they move really fast than aphid. So you can whenever you want to see sucking pest infestation, just try to look. Don't look on top of the leaf. Just try to look underneath the leaf, because of the sun and the environmental pressure. The leaf, they want to hide somewhere to eat and to multiply their generations. So that's why mostly those will be on the leaf underneath. But the thrips is having upper leaves on the upper side, but mites is underneath the leaf. And one more identification: the mite infestation. Uh, when you see leaf is curling downwards, like if it is leaf like this, it is going like in a curling, like in a backwards. So that is a mite infestation, because they live underneath the leaf, they suck the leaf, so the leaf will curl, so that you can understand, oh, there is something going on. So when you turn the leaf up, you will see this kind of infestation. So that's the mite infestation. Okay. So, and in this adult mite is having 8 legs, and the eggs are these are the eggs and tiny droplets. You can see, but it is very microscopic nature. You have to use lens by if you want to see these kind of sucking pest. And for farming, if you're more uh, trained well, like you already watching, like gone through all these kind of infestations, you can easily identify what is this. But to understand little bit about these pests, try to use lens and carry lens every time. When you see something, just take the leaf and put it in a microscopic way, like lens. So when you see that, you will see the insect is crawling. When you identify the insect, then you can control with the right chemicals or right control methods. Okay. So the damage is like when you see a leaf is having a white spots, like tiny white spots, that is not a nutrient damage. Like, if nutrient damage comes in a sideways, mostly. So when you see spots in the middle, that might be fungal attack or any other insect. So when you see this kind of thing, just try to look with the close microscopic nature, so that you will see what is going on your leaf. So whether it is mites or thrips or any other insect, you can easily see. But aphid you can see with the naked eyes, but not these insects. You have to go through microscopic. So these mites can attack squash, melons, watermelons, or various kind of vegetable crops. On crops such sugar peas, beans also they affect, and they uh, and the rose plant is highly affected crop. When you're growing rose, when you're cultivating flowers, yeah, so it is also one of the major insect to control on rose crops. So try to, if you anybody growing rose crops, are you guys selling flowers to anywhere?
No, they don't really grow many flowers here.
Okay, just don't forget about that. This is a very serious pest on rose flower, so we have to go at least 3 rounds, 2 rounds application on the flower crops, especially on the rose crop. The main management of this pest is just like observing. When you see any dots and like that, just go through uh, the lens and identify those infestation, that take quick actions on that. And biological control and cultural control and chemical control. I'll explain all these four things in next 4 slides. So as I explaining about this thing, like we have to use a lens to see what is going on the leaf. When you see leaf, just buy one lens, small lens. It might be cost like $1 or $2. So yeah, just keep in with your pocket. When you see any infestation, just go through really close. If you see any identification, whether it is nutrient or mite damage, just immediately go for action to control mite damage, to control mites. Mostly check underside of the leaf. As I told you, they just hide underneath the leaf to protect their family and to survive themselves. Okay. So these are biological controls. I have explained all these insects in yesterday. So pirate bugs affect on pirate bugs eat mites, and this species, this is spider mites and this is parasite. What they predator. So they eat this mite. So if you see any this kind of insect, don't try to kill it. Just let him, and they will eat this spider mites. And you have seen 6-spotted thrips. So this thrips is having 6 spots: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you see this kind of normal thrips don't have these spots, only this thrip is having 6 spots. When you see this thing, just don't worry about that. It is a parasite for spider mite, but they still damage this 6-spotted thrips also damage the crop, but you should compare with the severity. If it is like not damaging much, just let it be there. It won't damage that much as a normal thrips, but it can eat these mites. Okay, and big-eyed bugs. So these bugs also can eat the mites. So it is very useful insects. We should not try to kill them. All these things. And the lacewings, I told you, the green color lacewing, it is very important, and it is also controlled. You have seen this insect. It the aphid also controlled by this insect. Just don't try to kill these kind of biological. I mean, um, these kind of insects. Okay, so I'm gonna move to next slide about cultural control. So when you have a dusty conditions, they expand their life cycle. For example, your crop is in the roadside, a lot of vehicles are moving, the dust it lay on your crop. If the crop is having mite damage, that can multiply by more and more and more. We need to clean the crop effectively, so that use sprinkler irrigation. When you use sprinkler irrigation, like you can just clean the crop, and you won't the mite won't spread that much. If you have a dusty environment surrounded by your plot, this mite damage will multiply by more. So that's why we have to keep eye on it. Using sprinkler method is a sprinkler irrigation is a good control if you have a dusty situation. I'm not saying use sprinkler irrigation to control these mites. I'm saying if you have a dusty kind of environment, use sprinklers, so that the crop will clean, and this infestation won't spread much faster. Okay, and uh, the water stress tree and the plants are less tolerant of spider mite damage. We should provide adequate irrigation. So you give more irrigation, so that plant can survive by themselves, even if the spider mites attack have on the plants. Just give good irrigation when you see it. Just give irrigation and spray the another these chemical methods. I'm going to explain in few minutes. So, and in this garden, small fruit trees, regular forceful spraying plants with water often reduce the spider mite number adequately. Be sure to get a good coverage, especially on the underside of the leaf. As I told you in aphid slide, people, they sell some kind of equipment, like pressurized water. So they give a very, like they give a shock, like shock treatment, like they just split the water very forcefully at a time to the crop underneath the leaf, so that all mites, it will just fell on the ground with that water. Using that kind of tiny little machines also very important. um, if more control required, use insecticidal soap. I will explain those things in next slide. Yes, the insecticidal soap is also uh, a good control, and insecticidal oil is also a good control. It's not any soap. Use soap solutions. These insecticidal soap, insecticidal oil, you'll get it from the different companies. Just go through the online and buy these kind of bio organic pesticides. Yeah. Both petroleum-based horticulture oil, plant-based oils, and neem oil and canola oil, cottonseed oil are also acceptable. If cottonseed oil give good control. Canola oil, if you have a canola oil, you can spray, but don't use cooking or canola oil. Get raw oil, like the canola oil which is gonna use in our home for cooking. That is very expensive. if you don't, you can just buy without filtered canola oil. Canola oil, they do a lot of filters. So just buy from raw canola oil and just apply it, no problem. Don't go and buy and from the retail market and use that canola oil. It is very expensive, and so it's not economic for our crops. Don't use soaps, and this is very important. Don't use soaps or oil on water stressed plants when temperature exceeds more than in your region. Don't use soaps or oil on water stressed plants. Just give a proper irrigation, then apply these things. Otherwise, the crop will get like uh, like how do I explain?
Yeah, like a
It
sunburn.
will just die with shock effect like that.
So that'd be about 30 degrees C. So if it's
Yeah.
a really hot day, be very careful of applying any of these things.
Yeah, just make sure that you give more irrigation, then apply the soaps or oil, whatever it is. And sulfur spray is very useful in most of the vegetable area. You will get sulfur dust. I mean, or sulfur spray from the pesticide shop. Just use that thing. Don't use sulfur unless it has been shown the safe for the plant in our locality. Use liquid products such as sulfur and potassium soap combined. Don't use sulfur dust. Use sulfur liquid combinations. The reason why I told you don't use uh, sulfur dust, because sulfur dust can increase the mite population. In this slide, I told you, if you have a roadside area, if you use sulfur, the dust the plant covered with dust will multiply more mites. But so that's the main reason I'm telling you, don't use sulfur dust. Instead of using sulfur dust, use liquid sulfur solutions, so that you can control very effectively. Okay, so this is the end of the mites presentation. Any doubts you guys having in this?
Yeah. So not doubts per se, but it's just difficult to get a hold of some of these items on the island. So it's something that we'll work through in the coming months of the program. We'll see what we can find as we come against problems, so we can look around. But yeah, I mean that is a challenge here for sure.
Can I go to the next presentation?
I just
Yeah.
want
One more question.
Yeah.
This is more a question for the group. How do we control mites now here on the island?
Use neem for spider mites.
Chris, what was the question, Chris?
So they're just asking themselves basically, what locally do they use to control spider mites at this point? So neem is kind of available. That's what most people seem to use at this point. So, and what freeze? I need to look at that again. There's another product called Freeze. It's an
Okay.
organic. It's like a combination of oils. Cured? Do you know what's in that? There's a few local products they use that are available. They're made up of different essential oils. I've seen a few for sale in some of the farm stores. So this is probably something we can work through with ourselves. Once we have the information you've provided, we can kind of come up with our own local applications for it.
Okay. So I just want to make sure the product is listed with OMRA listed product.
Yeah.
And what they do, I don't know how strict your government is. For example, in India, people say it is organic pesticides. They mix with synthetic pesticide and they're selling as organic.
Yeah.
And they're getting more profit also. And we are losing our crop, and we are giving more resistant to the pest. So that is not going to be that. You should be very careful when you buy a product. Just read the description. What are the ingredients that they have?
So that's a good point, Hemu. I'll try to get a look at these products and talk about it more with the class.
Yeah.
We need to take another break, probably a 10-minute break, and then we'll have the last 50 minutes or so
Okay.
to do your last 2 presentations, okay?
Okay.
All right. Recording, and off we go.
Okay. So now I'm going to move on to thrips. And in this, Chris, can you play the video of the 4th one?
Yep. Let me pull it up.
Thrips are a major problem in greenhouse horticulture. They can easily overwinter and attack plants early in the season. The eggs of thrips are kidney-shaped and are laid in leaves, flower petals, and in the soft parts of stalks. Before a female deposits an egg, she first makes an opening in the plant tissue. After hatching, the larva immediately begins to feed on plant tissue. The first instar larva molts into a second instar larva. This second stage larva is bigger and has more color. At the end of the second instar, the larva usually falls to the ground to pupate. Pupation occurs in natural crevices in the ground or lower leaf surfaces. The prepupal and pupal instars are recognizable by their developing wing buds. The adult thrips has a fully developed pair of fringed wings. Thrips cause damage to the plant by piercing the cells of the surface tissues and sucking out their contents, causing the surrounding tissue to die. The resulting silver-gray patches on leaves and the black dots on their excreta indicate their presence in the crop. Thrips are also responsible for the transmission of viruses. Luckily, they can be controlled by a range of natural enemies. Check out our YouTube channel and website for more information on.
All right.
Okay.
But he identified a good source here. They're just
You guys-
noticing that a lot of your videos came from the same company, but the quality of them is really high.
Quality is good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
trick.
So I was using those videos from a long time. I mean, to watch and to learn stuff. So that's why I downloaded from there. So okay, let's move on to the thrips. Thrips is a different insect. It is. I'll explain you the physical character. When you see the plant, how you can identify thrips in a very easy way. Okay, this is like the all pests. It is also host for 250 species: onion, cotton, sunflower, carrot, rose, different crops, various crops, mostly all vegetables. You'll see the thrips infestation in the different crops. On roses, I mean, I don't want to explain this thing because it's just which crops these are very the thrips will affect, like that I explained in this slide. Just imagine, like this is also, this insect is also spread in most of the different variety of the vegetable crops. So in this, just see the thrip damage is upward curling. I explained mite damage. How mite affect, when you see a plant, you can easily identify when this leaf is having a downward curling. That is a mite damage. When the thrips is having upward curling, it's a thrips damage. The thrips you cannot see also, as it is very tiny little insect that live on the surface of the leaf. When you see very microscopically, then only you will identify. So it is not various different colors you have it, but you can see very microscopic nature it is having. So you have to see with the lens, otherwise you cannot identify. Just with the physical character like this upward curling you can see, but you cannot see with your naked eyes.
Sorry, what side of the leaf are the thrips on?
Upper side, mostly the damage will come. So that's why the leaf, curl, upward curling. You understand?
Yes. Yep, that's good.
Yeah. These thrips, they transmit some few viruses. That is a tomato spotted wilt virus, TSWV. It transmits from one plant to another plant. So yellow spotted virus in peanuts. So if we control these thrips, we can also control this virus. Otherwise, this is a vector for this virus. So these are the sucking pests. They transmit virus also. So that's why we need to be very careful on these insects. So once a virus is not, we don't have any control on virus. If your crop is getting virus attack, it's just gone. You have to chop the crop and you have to bury somewhere. You have to burn it. Otherwise, the insect virus infected plant, if the thrip come and they suck the sap and they just go to the other plant, it just spread like that. For the virus, we don't have any. Not even synthetic pesticides cannot control virus. Only resistant hybrids. There are some hybrids that can have a control on these tomato spotted virus, wilt virus, and yellow spotted virus in peanuts. There are some hybrids that can control, that can susceptible for this kind of viruses. So otherwise we cannot control this virus. We have to control thrips in order to control these viruses. So when you see fruit damage like this, like some scratching, like this kind of structure on the fruit, it is a mite damage. Morely in citrus, when you see citrus, you will see some damage on the fruit. So that is a thrip. If you have more thrip attack on the citrus or any fruits, that the fruit will become like this. Okay, so this is a thrip damage. Have you ever noticed that this is the damage by thrips, or you just now you are learning about this?
Yes, they've seen it for sure.
On the eggplant.
Eggplant, for example.
Yeah, mostly thrips, but you cannot see the naked eyes. So when you see this kind of fruit, it is a kind of thrips damage. All vegetables, different vegetable, they just eat the surface of the fruit when it is ripening. So what happened, the cells will die. so they will get weird shape. Okay.
So that's the one shape. Oh, I haven't been there.
As I told you, the thrip upward curling. This is a pepper plant. When you have a pepper plant is having upward curling like this, that is also thrips damage. Okay. So this is a rose plant is having infestation about thrips. You see curling, mostly upward curling. Okay, you guys are recognizing these are upward curling.
We got a question here, Heyman.
Yes.
I have noticed that on my eggplant, but I didn't see the curling of the leaves. So can it be still?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Have you seen the leaf structure about eggplant? Very healthy leaf, big leaf. You know,
Yeah.
so it won't get. So you see the rose petal and the chili, those are tiny leaves that can curl very easily. Some of the leaves you cannot, it won't curl. It doesn't mean that you don't have a thrips, but still they have a thrips. But the leaf is having, the plant is very healthy, so it won't curl. But when you see in these things, it is an easy infestation. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just another symptom of the leaf. If you have these patches, and upward curling is having a thrips problem. The life cycle of the thrips is the eggs hatches in 7 to 10 days. 7 days. It is not a critical stage. To larva instars, it is 8 to 10 days. This is very high severe damage date. So when you see the egg is not a damage stage, pupal and pre-pupal damage is not that much damage stages, and adults also. Only this larva to larval instar is the high damage for the thrips. There are some important predators have thrips. So this is one. So I explained this bug. You can see a lot of slides. So it means it kills aphids, leaf miner, and mites. I mean thrips. Okay. So this is another minute period bug. So it also kill thrips, and this is big-eyed bug. These two insects also killed. It kills these thrips. Okay. The cultural method is just weeds. Weeds provide a refuge for a western flower thrips and another pest infestation. The weeds, control weeds, just that is a cultural practice. That is basic thing we have to do. We have to clean our field every time to control this infestation or any other infestation. Also, weeds are the major host plant for the different sucking pests. So either remove or control weeds within near your crop and burn old crop. If that is a basic thing that we have to do, and use insect-proof screening on your greenhouse. Just use the nets just cover the net. So that is also one of the effective method to control sucking pest infestation, to not spread one bed to another bed. Okay.
Hold on.
So
Question.
yes.
You don't incorporate it, for instance, in your compost.
So could you incorporate plant matter into your compost to deal with them?
Yes, we can do that. It's not a problem because the composting generates heat that will dye pupa and everything. Like, you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, it should be like, your compost pile also, it should be prepared very carefully, because in a corner ways. Infected plants should please put exactly middle portion of the compost pile. So that's how you can maintain the temperature to not to generate their life cycle.
So if you're very concerned about some plants you wanted to destroy and you had a compost pile going, you could, when you flip it, just place those plants right in the middle and build your pile back up around it. You know, that messes with the organic certification side of it, but that would be a way to make sure that you subject those diseased plants to the heat enough to destroy them. So, and also paying attention to how you flip the pile. And you that have been working with us flipping the piles, there's a method that we follow that makes sure that every piece of the pile gets subjected to this heat at some point. So following those standards, those methods is important as well if you have diseases or possible pests in your pile. Okay, Hema.
Okay. So sterilization greenhouse between planting, that is also important. Sterilized between crops and sterilized steam to the soil, kill pupae. You see, as I told you right now, steam the soil. Like when you have a good temperature, you can kill the pupae. Okay. So the alternative, keep the greenhouse hot and dry, empty for the last 1 week or longer in cold winter. So any thripsing eggs or pupal stages will hatch and subsequently die. And stinky traps would be placed into the empty greenhouses to attract many of remaining adult thrips. It is important that greenhouse contain no plant material for the stage strategy to work. Just clean the greenhouse when you've done the cropping and sterilize it. And excuse me. There are some chemicals, I mean, not organic pesticides, which we can use soil sterilization. For example, horseradish oil. We make a Armorex product. In our last, when I was working in soil technologies, so that company makes a Armorex a product. The product contain horseradish oil. It gives a fumigation. So you can use as a sterilizing product to clean your greenhouse by using what do you call drip irrigation. You guys might know the drip irrigation, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the drip irrigation, like use this soil sterilization through drip, so that you can kill these insects very effectively. Okay.
Would like soil solarization be a way to destroy these insects?
Yeah, definitely. That is open field soil solarization is very good. That's why we do cultural practices. We have to give some rest and expose to the sun during summer.
Solarization is just the process of heating your soils up. So in a greenhouse, if you want to sterilize, like Henry was talking about, you would empty out your crops, get the soil smooth, and then cover it with plastic, clear plastic, so that the sun would hit it and be trapped underneath the plastic and heat the soil up a lot. So this will heat up your soil. How deeply will this heat up your soil, Hemo? Do you know?
How deeply we have to heat up the soil?
Yeah.
I mean, how deep means in organic agriculture, we should not do deep plowing.
No, not digging. How deep, when you solarize using plastic?
Using plastic. How deep?
How deep does the heat of that reach?
No, I don't have a Any idea on that? Because I don't want to give any false statement on this.
I can look into that, that's fine. But
Yeah,
the
I don't have.
is just heating your soil up to a point where things will pass away or move out of it. So
I don't think we need plastic.
it'd be easier to solarize here than it would be in our climate.
But sometimes you feel the heat, you know that nothing lives there. Everything.
But if you, next time you feel that soil, dig into it and feel just how deep that heat goes, because that could be very superficial.
No, it's not. It goes pretty deep.
Well, in some instances, on a side, old farmers used to make something called a dust mulch, which was like, it's not very good in terms of a regenerative method, but it's the idea that the top layer of your soil is pulverized so much that it forms a like sheet, you know, something that if you have plants already up above ground, anything that tries to push through this like thick layer of compressed soil can't. So then it's a mulch of structureless soil that's compacted. So it doesn't let air or water through, but it doesn't let weeds through either. So what I would suspect happens here is that rain comes, pounds your soil, it dries out fast, and then you have a thick crust on top of your soil. So it might preserve some, it could form a crust like that. So if you feel that your soil is really hot, dig in next time, see how deep is that heat. Maybe it is deeper, I don't know, but it'd be worth thinking about. Is that good? Any other questions on that? All right, Amun, let's go.
Yeah. So coming to the organic method, so it's a safe smothering insecticidal soaps. That is also we can use some of the basic things so we can use in all kind of pests, you know. So that is one of the best thing in organic agriculture. We can use one molecule because the molecule is having a volatile compounds, so it cannot get resistance of different pests, right? So use this soaps, neem oil, and the spinosad and neem oil can be used to spot treat heavy infested area. But spinosad means I do not, I never experienced physically. I have not done this treatment, but we need to check one time. I don't know how it can works. When I get the result, I'll let you know because I never tried this method.
Okay.
But I've got this information from website. Coming to these methods, these are just normal methods that you can use it. Just clean the crops, as I said, and inspect all plant and signs if you have it. Like just take it and throw it away. And the stinky traps is also blue sticky traps is also useful. And if you use the bug buster, this is a blockbuster. I will show you the picture. I was telling you from a long time, but let me see whether I can show you or not. Yeah, you guys see the picture?
Yes, we see it.
Yeah, this is a spray machine. So it is like, it give a really fast bug blaster kind of action. Like it just it will give you very effect, but it will give you a little bit damage for the crop, but it's okay. But don't try to use for the leafy vegetables, chard, kale, whatever it is. So because it damages the leaf. Sometimes the strawberries are very good. The leaf is having a strong structure. Just go through the if you have horticulture crops, use this thing. It's not a problem. It is very effective, but don't try to use for tomatoes. If it is ripened tomato, if you use this thing, the fruit will damage, and the structure will damage. When you use any this kind of things, just be specific to the crops. Otherwise, you will get total damage of your crop. Understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me go back to this thing. This beneficial insect that I have told you already, minute pirate bugs and thrips predators and ladybugs and lacewings. These are all I already shown you several places. These are also very important. Try to maintain ecology and build the beneficial insect in our crop, in our organic field. Okay, so these are very useful just for this I mean trips. And I'm gonna move to whitefly. So you guys have any doubts on trips, please raise your questions.
That bug blaster he showed is $20 on Amazon.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Makes me think of using it back home, actually.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring up the video, if that's all right, Hemu.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna show that's the main reason. If they see the video and go through the presentation, they will get something information. So that's why I prepared a presentation like this.
Great.
Whiteflies form a major threat for many vegetable and ornamental crops. The adults can be recognized by their waxy wings. Whiteflies have well-developed needle-like mouthparts. They extract sap from the underside of plant leaves and secrete honeydew. This honeydew, in turn, is a nutrient source for sooty moles. The female lays her eggs on the underside of young leaves. If she has not yet mated, all the eggs will develop into males. The eggs have a white-yellowish color, are oblong-shaped, and are often deposited in circles. After 1 or 2 days, they become darker in color. The nymphs that emerge from the eggs are known as crawlers. Crawlers move around for several hours before settling on the leaf. They molt into their second stage and become immobile. The nymph starts to feed and begins to produce honeydew. 2 further stages will follow. The nymph now molts into its 4th stage. This is the final stage before becoming an adult. The nymph is flat at first, later changing into an oval, box-shaped pupa with hairs. The adult emerges. Soon after emerging, wax is secreted over the entire body. Adults immediately begin to penetrate the leaf with their mouthparts to feed on plant sap. Check out our YouTube channel and website for more information on agricultural pests.
All right, Heyman.
So this whitefly is my favorite insect because I have dealt this insect a lot. It is highly dangerous. And if it comes, it wipe your field off, unless if that is a monocropping. Our area is called Punjab in India. It is a border between India and Pakistan. So in that area, so a whitefly infestation increased a lot, and that in that particular area, the whitefly got resistant for different pesticides. So it is like, I'm seeing a snow in a desert, like, that many whitefly population just going off in front of my car. If it comes in that situation, there is no much, like, a farmer they did not get not even a single dollar from his land. They just wiped out all the plants. But if only we can do, just go for crop diversity. With the crop diversity, we can control very effectively. Monocropping is very, very dangerous for the whitefly, because year by year they build resistance. I will explain all those things anyway in further slides. I just wanted to explain a little bit information about this particular pest, because I dealt with this for a long time.
Yeah,
So
Heyman, I remember actually a very clear memory of the first time we saw whiteflies in the field at MUM with you. And
yeah,
I mean, he would not let it go. Like,
yeah.
we had to do something about them. And
Yeah.
we looked around. I remember pulling up the leaf. Yeah, there was whiteflies on them. And we turned around and looked at the crop next to it. It was like they're on the okra, and then turned around and looked at a different plant, and they weren't there.
Yeah.
On the other side, there was a different crop, and they weren't there. They were on one crop, but they never got to a point where it was damaging any other crops or even the crop they were on. They couldn't get big enough. So I still vividly remember that experience with you.
That was like, I was on root knot nematode also. I was like so scared, because I came from that background, like, conventional agriculture, dealing with farmers for 7 years, seeing the problems every single day. So it's like, whenever I see any problem, I just like, use this chemical, this pesticides, and just kill it.
Nope. That's what you said.
Yeah. So and go for these methods, and I'm going to explain a little bit about this insect and what are the critical stages. Also, I will do that. And this, why they call whitefly, that they have a white wax layer on top of the whitefly on the wings, like that. So that's why we call whitefly. Okay. And so, and this is very huge, very worst insect. So it is everywhere, most of the country, most of the world, like, everywhere it is spread it out.
Antarctica.
What? Antarctica?
I was making a joke that the dot representing infested area was on Antarctica.
The dots are, that's the infested area, like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is a small insect. It is 1 mm to 2 mm. Adult have well developed antennas. You don't need to go for this. You keep the basic thing when you go to the field, when you touch any crop, you can just like, see the coming from the plant, like just going off like that. You can see something is flying in front of you. They don't go away from you. They just, when you hit anything, they just come towards you and they just turn around like that. That is a whitefly infestation. When you see it, just move little bit, you can see whitefly. If there is a whitefly, you can see it just going around. But if you see that thing, that is whitefly, definitely will not damage to your crop, but a whitefly nymph will damage effectively. Whitefly, they don't even care about. It's not much effective for your crop. I'll explain which stage is very important to control. Okay, so this is wax. I mean, they extract honeydew. They produce a large quantity of honeydew. So this honeydew, what happens? They cover entire leaf, and the plant will not get photosynthesis. Yeah, let me tell you one more thing. The whitefly adult will not produce more honeydew. Only nymph produce much more honeydew. So it covers entire leaf, so that you won't get photosynthesis. So plant eventually it will die. Okay. So and this is the life cycle. So adult, and this is incomplete life cycle. I'm explaining you again. This is, you won't get a pupa stage. Like the adult will lay eggs. They become nymph. Instar 1. This is instar 2, instar 3, instar 4, and adult. Okay, the whitefly is having 4 instars. So every instar is a very dangerous. The dangerous part, this is not that much effective zone for your crop. Zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. These 4 stages are very highly dangerous for your crop. Okay. So and this is eggs, and they become pupa like this. And the instar 2, they become like this, and they go in 4th instar, they settle and they suck sap from the leaf, and they continuously, they doesn't have any work. What they do, they eat and they make babies. In this, they eat, extract honeydew from their body. It is just like eating, they're living, eating and pooping like that. Okay, so that's how they damage your plant very effectively. The most noxious insect attacking to the field crop, as I told you, it is very dangerous, and it damages a wide variety of potatoes and like tomatoes, all crops. This will affect. Loss is due to their activities of sucking the plant sap. As I told you, that was plant, they suck every time the juice from the leaves. So that's how they eventually the plant will die. When the whitefly comes, you can see the red mark surrounded by the leaf. When you have a leaf, you can see red mark on the sides of the leaf, because they suck the sap very fast. So that's why they turn yellow. Immediately they turn red. So that is how you have to identify, mostly in the cotton crop, and they may be having a similar damage in the normal vegetable crops also. Virus, this is a very effective sucking pest for virus. They transmit virus very easily to the field because they have a good wings, waxy, strong wings. So what happened? They just, if a plant is having virus, for example, you might have heard about Gemini virus. Gemini virus is mainly having in pepper plants. If that is a most important virus, now a lot of companies, they are building the hybrid for controlling the virus. This virus is a control. This insect is a vector for that virus. Okay, if a plant is having that virus, they go and they suck the sap. When they go and suck another plant, they will transmit the virus from one plant to another plant. So this is very dangerous insect to transmit the diseases. I mean, virus diseases. Okay, so that is how. And production of honeydew leading to the development of mold on leaves and adversely affecting photosynthesis. That's I already explained. So this is how they cover the leaf with wax, and they can kill the plant. You see the plant. This is worst damage you can see from the whitefly. Okay, and there are some other predators. So you can. I already explained this predator also kill the plant. And this is the important one. So this is another plant you can like, if you plant these rose plants, they attract whitefly. They don't go there. They damage flower crop, so that your vegetables won't get affected. These two, Ginnaeus and Nasturtium, is these two kind of plants are very effective to control. I mean, to attract whitefly. Try to get these seeds from any vegetables. I mean, flowering. Who is selling flower seeds? Those are the best items you can control whitefly. Okay, and try to understand one more thing. Identify the crops which you will get most whitefly. Just plant these flowers in that crops. Okra will get more whitefly attack. Brinjal will get more whitefly attack effect. So that a basic thing I'm telling you, a leaf is having more hairy structure, won't get affected by aphid, but will affected by whitefly. Just try to look around in your garden. You will understand about this thing. Okay, most hairy leaf affected by whitefly, but not hairy structure. You won't get affected by aphids. Okay, and plant these two type of flowers. You will get very effective control. And the yellow sticky trap is on. Yes.
So zinnias are good to have to attract predators to consume your flowers.
Yes.
It's good to have them.
Yes. Yeah, planting these flowers in and around your garden attracts the natural predators. There are certain flowers that we plant. We plant both of these in our field back home. We plant it right in with our crops, right next to them. And they compete very little, especially the nasturtium. They stay very low. Marigolds are another one that we plant. We plant them right next to our tomatoes, and it helps a lot. At least it seems to help a lot. Very good. Okay, move on.
So yellow sticky traps. There is a yellow sticky traps. You just just put your yellow stickers. The whitefly fly and just touch the board, and you just have you can collect the whiteflies. It will die eventually. And bug blaster, I told you, don't use for any soft vegetable crops which you have a ripened fruit. Don't use this thing. It can blow off tomatoes, whatever it is. Just use try in a different crops in different stages. You just look around when you use this machine. It is very cautious, like, don't use on the fruit because, your fruit will get damaged. When it is flowering stage, already fruit setting stage, it's not a problem. Uh, all fully grown fruit, don't do that. After immediate flowering, you can use this blaster. It won't affect. Natural predators, ladybugs, lacewings. The reason why I did not mention all these pictures, because I was explaining those same predators from the last yesterday and today, so that's why I did not mention. But ladybugs and lacewings, the green color insect, you might have remember. So these are parasites you can use. You can just maintain in your garden by using crop diversity and crop rotation. So that can be useful. Uh, and if population is high, use toxic short-lived organic pesticide to establish control and release a predatory insect to maintain control. The same thing. Safer soap will work faster on heavy infestation, the short-lived natural pesticide. It's a soap. The soap, what they do, when you spray on the whitefly, the soap, they dilute the wax on the surface of the insect, so they get exposed to the sun or environment, they will die. That is how soap works sometimes. And soap give a slippery, and for if it's the weak body having weak legs, if the insect is having weak legs, if you use soap, it will just fall off. And if you use this soap, it will also give the wax coating on the. It will remove the wax coating on the body of the insect. It will definitely will die.
So I've had a question.
So, yes.
I saw a video that in India they use um, rice water, fermented rice water mixed with
Fermented rice water.
yeah, mixed with I think it was pepper, some pepper extract to,
Yeah.
to white flies. Like we sprayed up white flies, and I think it was that the rice water forms like a coat, and it
But it should be fermented, right?
yeah, they should leave it for 10 days and stuff like that.
Yeah, that might be work. I never used it, but we can. A lot of people are using, even some people are using toddy. Fermented. You have a toddy trees, palm trees,
What?
palm trees, palm trees.
Palm trees.
You guys extract. You guys collect the palm wine from the palm trees.
No.
No.
No. I got a topic, so that's why I'm telling you it's really good for your health. It is a traditional alcohol. They get palm wine, and it will dilute. It will give you it you know it will dilute the kidney stones also. And those fermented wine, palm wine, also used for controlling on different insects in India.
Yeah, I've heard of using fermenting rice wash water and then very mild solvent.
Yeah.
So then that could be a way to maybe strip the wax off of these white flies.
Yeah. Yes. And there's any question?
No, I don't think we have any further questions now.
Okay. So organic neem oil, horticulture oil, this botanical insecticide, it is also very effective. So the solution is this: just tell them mixture with 1 ounce per gallon of water and spray all the leaf surface, including underside of leaves, until it completely wet. That is a good results. The horticulture oil, we can use it to control this white fly. So this is the end of whitefly, and exactly I'm on time, Chris.
Yeah. Damn. Nice. Anybody planned that well?
I just want to see everyone. Like, could you just turn on a video?
Yeah.
Say hi.
See, everyone is still here.
Yeah. We're all still awake. Yes.
Yeah. Was my presentation getting sleep, everyone?
No, everyone was very interested. This is really good information.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Yeah, it was great.
Yes, it was good.
Very important.
If you could, please forward all of those to me, including yesterday's with like the updated stuff in it.
I already did it.
Fantastic. All right. Well, then I'll make this available to everybody in the student shared folder as soon as possible.
Where we get the exam?
The exam for this will be after break because we'll have more classes on this after break. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. So Hemu, I think we're done. I'm going to stop recording and thank you very much. It was really good presentations.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity, Chris, and everyone. I enjoyed a lot with your good questions, and I hope I have given a good time and to clarify every question. So, yeah, in future, if it is time, I hope see you again. Maybe not.
It's very well done. Thanks, Hemu.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chris. Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.